Here is another Zombunity MUD tutorial. GitHub.com, C.W. McGuire, Zombunity MUD. We're going to run through the getting started section, which I have over here. And you can find the URL for the repo up here. So let's step through. Clone the Git repo. We're going to do this in git-bash, git clone, https, github, into the zom2 directory. I'm in my root of D. And we'll wait for that to clone. The next step will be start the HSQLDB server. So we'll have to download HSQLDB. I use download latest stable and then just download this. Unzip that. I unzipped it into just any directory, HSQLDB. The jars you need to run it are going to be in here, HSQLDB jar and sqltool.jar. So we can see that our repo has been cloned into the zom2 directory. And we've downloaded HSQLDB and unzipped it into a directory, and it says we need to run the server class from the HSQLDB jar and create a database called Zombunity and give it an alias Zombunity. So let's do that. Class path to the jar, and then run the server class, database Zombunity, alias Zombunity. The alias is important to get other programs to be able to access this, or to be able to access it yourself, I think. So we'll run that. And so that's running. And then we need to set up the tables and stuff that we need so far. So if you look in zom2 server db, you'll find this SQL file. So let's take a look at that because it's wrong. And we need a couple commas in there. So comma there and comma there. Save that. And we can go back and run this with the SQL tool. So Java jar sqltool rc file. RC file is, I created this in my HSQLDB lib directory. You'll have to create your own. URL ID is Zombunity, URL, JDBC, HSQLDB, HSQL, localhost Zombunity, username SA, password blank. So we're going to run with that RC file, and we're going to run against Zombunity, and we have the debug flag on, and we're going to run this Zombunity SQL in our project directory. So let's run that, and ran successfully. And just for kicks, we're going to go to our HSQLDB, and we're going to go to our bin directory, and we're going to run manager swing .bat. That'll bring up our database manager, and I have some settings saved already in here. So it's JDBC, HSQLDB, HSQL, localhost Zombunity. Let's connect to that. We can see I've got our tables created, so that's good. Okay, so that's this setup with SQL tool. Now we need to open the project in IDEA. All right, so let's go to IDEA, and we'll do, I'm using IDEA 11.1.3, open project. In our D drive, dzom2, that's a directory project, so we'll open that. We're going to go into settings, and you'll go to plugins. Make sure you have Clojure installed. I do. Now it says we need to open the project in IDEA and then start a REPL for Zombunity HTTP. So let's do that. Click on HTTP, and it's Control-Shift-F10 or Tools Start Clojure Console, and we'll get that running. It's important to click on the module so that the class path to that module is loaded with the REPL, including the source directory that has our Clojure in it. Next step, that was HTTP. And now it says we need to load the HTTP CLJ file, open it, put the cursor in it, Control-Shift-L. So let's go to HTTP, cursor in, Control-Shift-L. That compiles it, and it compiled successfully. Now it says we need to run the HTTP server by running this code here. So let's do that. That fully qualifies the namespace and then runs this private function main. Now our HTTP server is running, and we did that. So let's start a REPL for the server and dispatch. So we'll do that. So same thing with the server. Click on that, Control-Shift-F10, find the dispatch namespace in the source, put the cursor in, Control-Shift-L, compile that up. Bang, we've got succeeded, and it returned a function. And then it says register the daemons. and then it says run the server. So let's do that. Let's register the daemons, change the namespace over to dispatch, so we have access to the stuff in dispatch without having to fully qualify it, such as register daemons. And we'll do that. You can see our daemons are registered. Those are these daemons here. Goes through and grabs those dynamically and registers those, whatever's in that daemon namespace. And then we'll run the server, start processing messages. Good to go. And now we need to run the Zombunity web module, a REPL for that, and we need to go into the build CLJ and run that. And we don't have to actually type this build because it'll do it automatically for us when we run the file. Good thing I looked at that. So let's go to the web directory. Again, Control-Shift F10, start a REPL for that module, and we're going to go into this build one, and we're going to do Control-Shift-L to run. Oh, first we're going to change this because this is the original directory that I had, and we want actually this to be in Zomb2, and we want that for all of these. So let's put that like that, and that should now build, and it'll put all the files, it'll build from here all the CLJS files, it'll put them all in this public directory, and it'll put our dependency JavaScript in this file here. Now we can run this, and hopefully we'll see nil, meaning it all succeeded. And it's doing it for the first time, so it'll take a little while. The next time you do this, it won't take so much to compile the Clojure script to JavaScript, and it won't take so much time for Google to prune all the dead code that you don't need. So now we should see if we do this. There we go. Now there's all our JavaScript's been created, all of our JavaScript that we need, and everything else in there. All right. And then it says to open the web page. Now this is the default directory that I have to my existing project that's already on my machine. So we will go to, let's go up here, and I put mine in, again, Zomb2. So we'll open that up. There we go. And if we hit connect here, we're connected. And we should see, oh, there we go. So this, when we connected, that opened up a connection to the server. And the server sent a login message to the MUD server. And the MUD server started up the login process and sent this back to the HTTP server and sent it back down to the client. And the HTTP server and the MUD server connect with the database, so we know that everything is running because we got that login prompt. And there you go. That's everything you need to get Zombunity MUD started. So there was the two things we had to change in the web module. We had to change the build home Clojure to point to the right directory. And we had three things. We had to put in our sqltool.rc file, and we had to fix up our SQL script. Now I might have those fixed for you, and I might even put these into batch files if I'm feeling generous. And that's it. You should be able to get started from there and start playing around.